process of being active. Please give him a strong. At this moment, I take away to Mr. Willie Hunter. Let's bring him on with a round of applause. Brother Willie did an excellent job and a wonderful job of helping to put this together. He really worked hard. Aimlessly, we right in the middle of a campaign season, so let's give him his accolades now. Let's bring him on once again with a stronger hand than that.
Y'all know I'm not one for being up front. I'm happy being in the back, but I was happy to do this. I think it's a historical day for Camden. I thank all of you guys for coming out and supporting this effort. Thank God for the minister hosting this here. And I'm just here to bring forth the narrator, the moderator. And we have an excellent moderator, and Dr. Chad Henson. His father, I just want to say a little bit about his father. I can't help it because he raised me and made me the man that I am today and keep me striving. He was one that didn't mind making a leader. He was a leader himself, but he didn't mind making a leader. And one thing he always used to say, he said, you're not a true leader until you empower other folks to be leaders. And he definitely poured into his son, Dr. Chad Henson, and Chad Henson got the same ability in his dad that his dad has. He may not want to admit it, but he does. And so right now I'm going to bring forth Dr. Chad Henson.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to our United NJ Leaders Listening Tour. I'm just blessed to be here. Went to the Camden High football game yesterday and went down memory lane. I realized yesterday, should realize yesterday, but even more today, none of us are here by our own bootstraps. We are here because we're standing on the shoulders of somebody else. And I am here because of this phenomenal, great, awesome city of Camden, New Jersey. The city of Camden has made us all somebody. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Just the other day, I was making spaghetti, and my wife had the audacity to put the Prego up high. And as y'all can see, I have some vertical challenges. I said, "Yeah, where's the spaghetti?" She said, "It's up top." She said, I said, "Well, how am I get it?" She said, "Get on the stool. Stand on the stool and get the spaghetti." What would that have to do with this particular conversation? Well, Camden has been our stool. And because of Camden, we've been touching things we never would have touched. So let's give it up for our wonderful, wonderful city. Yes, sir. Thank our most gracious host, Minister Wasim, whose hand in friendship. He is from the Nation of Islam, and I am from the Baptist Black Church, and he is my best friend forever. So our friendship has been blessed, but I am excited to announce and introduce our native of this city, Mayor Victor Carstarphen, who, you know, he's not only was an athlete, but he modeled early scholar athlete. Now, I know they talk about his great athletic prowess, but what they don't tell you is that he was in academic classes the whole time. The whole time, Doc. And it's true story. This true story. And when he went to college, he went and majored in accounting and math. Now, who does that? You know, who does that? And it shows his intellect. And I just want to give him a debt of thanksgiving because his grandmama's house was the safe house. And those who were able to partake and be in grandmama's house didn't get to the prison house. And so we're thankful for him, and we're so proud of what he's doing. We introduce to some, present to some, our mayor, our friend, the leader of this city, a bad motor scooter, and he looking good too, Mayor Victor Carstarphen.
We've been through a lot of journeys together, brother, but being introduced by you, brother, is the first of the good one, and thank you for being here today. Brother Minister, thank you for hosting us. Team Camden, we're here today to welcome my good brother, Mayor Ross Baraka here today. Let's give a warm welcome to him. This is historical. This is paramount to happen because it's uniting North Jersey with South Jersey, and two mayors that communicate and have dialogue on how we can progress as people and how we can be better as people, and what we have to do. You know, I've been watching Mayor Baraka and getting to know him the last few years, and, you know, what he's done in Newark, you know, and moving Newark forward, and the way he has and his leadership that he's shown. You know, you take from that, as we as a city have been moving together. And when I say moving together, I mean moving together. We talk about as a whole, we cannot do things on silos. And we have to put our egos aside for the better going of our community. So this is, I can't say enough about Mayor coming down today, you know, hearing some thoughts that he has on what's going on and what has to go on. You know, we oftentimes, we try to move and we can't move, always say like this is a slap. We gotta move as a fist. And a fist makes a powerful, more impact than that slap when these fingers are like this. So this is what this is all about. Uniting, having good conversation. We have a lot of leaders here in this room. Everybody in this room plays a part on how our city moves, plays a big part. You all been outstanding teammates for the last year and a half with me. I can't say enough about each and every one of you being here. You know, when Mayor comes down here, I told him, listen, we roll out the carpet. You move how you want to move around here in the city. You know, I call it we family. You know, and a lot of times growing up, Sheriff, you know, we used to compete against Newark all the time. And to be here today shows a lot of leadership and maturity on my part. But no, let's get some good talk today, man. I'm looking forward. I'm excited. Both cities are doing some great things. People need to hear about, you know, how we're moving. And let's get going, Chad.
Come on, let's give it up for our man, Victor Carstarphen. Wow. But introduce to some, he needs no introduction, and I am not minimizing his bio, because if I read all of it and all of his accomplishments, we'll be here for church on Sunday. And then the mosque on Sunday afternoon. But Ross has just been a political powerhouse poet, just an ingenious thinker, revolutionary. But more importantly, sometimes you meet people and they have a name, but they are also high in their head. I enjoy the humility of this brother, to have the grace to be an intellect and the humility to realize his call. He's a friend of our mayor. He's a friend of ours. He's a friend of our city. And one of the greetings, I was in Atlanta just the other day in the airport, and somebody said, "What's up, family?" I turned around. I said, "Somebody from Camden." Because we all family. So I introduced to you and reintroduce Mayor Ross and our family. Let's give it up for family member here in the building.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Feels good to be back in Camden, brother. You know, Mayor Carstarphen we have developed a great relationship, and I consider him a brother. If he comes up to Newark, anywhere north, we got him. He knows that. We appreciate you, and you always rolling out the red carpet for us when we come down here. It's deeply appreciative. And this is a historic moment, more than all of us know. You know, we have been used to surviving, you know, especially after COVID. It is really like took the covers off of so much that was going on that we knew was happening. We just turned a blind eye to it. All of the inequity and differences that were going on in our country and in this state, we just moved on like it was normal, because we get used to normal. We get used to, you know, what's been going on, and we have developed a way to survive in the middle of all of that. There's a guy who I met during a candlelight vigil that we were having in COVID, talking about all of the people that passed. He had got COVID at his job, went home to his family. His wife and his daughter got COVID from him as well. They all had to go to the hospital. 10 days later, he's the only one that came out, right? So, you know, just looking in his brother's eyes, he survived that, right? And that's a good thing, but what kind of survival is that? And this is the kind of analogy I make to the kind of struggles we've been going through. In Newark and in Camden, we've come a long, long, long way because we have learned how to take, you know, the leftovers and make it a delicacy. You know, we learn how to take wildflowers and make them greens, right? We took the hominy off the grits, right? Off the corn and made it grits. We took the leftovers from the pig and made it a delicacy, and now everybody want to eat it. You know, we had to eat the nose and the tail and the feet because they wouldn't give us nothing else. But we made it so now everybody wants it. And so we taken these cities with the little bit of resources that we have, begging and crawling and scratching for the things that we need, developing the relationships that we have to develop in order to get the things that we need for our people so they can live, so they can grow. But at some point, we need the whole thing. And that's really what this tour is about us trying to figure out how we can figure out together how to get the whole thing. I know we're interested in the whole thing. We get so used to having pieces and parts that we think the pieces and the parts are the whole thing. In fact, our kids go after the pieces and the parts because they don't even know what the whole thing is, right? So what we trying to do is present the entire thing to everybody and let them see it. Like I told the mayor earlier, you know, we've been doing so much with so little. Imagine if we just had a little bit more. And I think it's time for us to figure out how to get a little bit more. And this is what this is about. We can get a little bit more if we do it together. You know, and I'm going to stop talking. We so used to working separately. And people benefit from us not talking to each other. I was talking to a guy from Monmouth. He said, I wish we'd had a conversation years ago. And there's people in our way from having these conversations, but not anymore. We're going to go around these people and have the conversations that we need to have. We can even talk to them, but we still going to have the conversations that we need to have because we need to have them. And we need to be united all up and down because it's not just about North and South. It's about we all family. The brother said it. We all family members. And so that's what we need to begin to operate like, family members. And if you do something to my family member, then I have a problem with you until y'all fix it.
You're working, sir.
That's it.
You're working, sir.
If you can't fix it, then I can't talk to you. But y'all got to fix it, right? Because we got to do this together. And I know you think it's about your ego or the individual thing you got going on. And our problem is they take apart a little bit of us, pull us aside, give us all of this, and keep us away from everybody else and tell us we better than these people and these people are better than us. But I feel good to be free. I can walk anywhere I want to walk. I can talk to anybody I want to talk to. I can go anywhere I want to go. I don't have to apologize or beg or get permission. I can show up where I want to show up, and I don't have to come see you if I don't want to see you. And if I'm talking to you, it's because my brother asked me to. That's it. And that's it. And I don't mean no disrespect or no harm to nobody. I just love myself and love the folks that I'm around. Right, and lastly, like everybody in this community is together, right? We can't be divided by silliness. We can't no longer be divided by denomination or religion or language or food you eat or the music you like. We can't be divided by that. There are people who want us to be divided because they benefit from the fact that we take small things and use them to create a chasm between us that should not exist. Because at the end of the day, if all lights went out because we don't got no money to pay for electricity, we all black in the dark. So at the end of the day, we have to be together. We must be together. If we want to do something better than what we're doing, then we got to do it together. Thank you for inviting me down here.
Oh, thank you, family. Oh, for some courageous conversation. We're going to introduce the rest of our just robust panel. I'm just so excited to have who we have with among us as well from our own here. With Councilwoman Naomi, who just got voted the top 16 millennials in the building. In the building. First Mexican-American to city council. But here's the caveat, graduated from Lincoln University. Holla at your girl. Let's give her just a minute to just introduce herself. Anything you want to share for just a minute or so. The mic's ready.
Okay, thank you. Well, number one, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. This is truly a great day. As Mayor Baraka and Mayor Carstarphen mentioned, we are powerful together. And I just wanted to share that very quickly. We are powerful together, and that's something that I believe the city of Camden and the city of Newark have in common, is that not only are we a resilient people, but we understand that unity is what brings us together, more powerful, right? And that's what's going to keep us together moving forward, fighting, ensuring that our people are always taken care of. So I appreciate the opportunity to sit alongside my colleagues today. Thank you so much, Pastor, for the shout out. You know, I always rep LU, so I'm very proud of that. So I really appreciate everyone's time, and thank you so much again.
We have next on the list none other than Commissioner John Young, who fights tirelessly to create jobs for economic empowerment for our people. He's just a tireless fighter. I call him the silent assassin. He's silent, but he walks heavy. Let's give it up for our Commissioner Young in the building.
Thank you. You know, it's always a pleasure to be here in the city. You know, from being a Philadelphia transplant and coming over, you know, the city has really opened its arms and welcomed me, and I've always appreciated being in the city and doing things for the city. I've been fighting for the city for 20 years. I'm a union carpenter by trade, not too many of us in the trade. One thing I try to do is I try to change that narrative on a regular basis. We try to implement ourselves into the city. I tried to take the carpenters union itself by, you know, forget the rest of the other building trades for right now, and change their mindset and make sure that they understand how important it is for our folks to be inside of the trade just like everybody else. We are very, very disproportionate, just like everywhere else, right? So that's my fight every day, and I make sure that we have an opportunity, that our kids have an opportunity to make that good money and make that good living. I've been a union carpenter for 30 years, and I'm going to get every bit of it back to make sure that we can continue and survive. This city has some very good talent. Newark has some very good talent, and they've been shunned out. And there ain't no doubt about it. But we're going to make a change, and I'm going to be a part of that change. Yeah. Thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. And I'm not going to hold against you the fact that you have not invited me to play golf with you. This is not the place to vent my personal frustration. Because we're going to work together.
I would, Pastor, but our other partner over there said you're a little busy on Sunday mornings.
Amen.
So we got to figure that out.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We also have with us Councilwoman Sheila Davis, who was instrumental during the transition of the police, stood up in the community fighting for the transition to county and for community policing. She's been a warrior. Let's give it up for our Councilwoman.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you. Good morning, family. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to be in the city of Camden on this morning and every day, isn't it? Man, mayors, we're truly honored to continue the work that former mayors, like former Mayor Dana Redd, has really set the bar, and to watch Camden continue to rise and Camden continue to be strong. And in order for Camden to be strong, we have to have a team. And it's an honor to look out and see my team from the grassroots level to the local level to the county level to the state level. They say it takes a village. Give yourself a round of applause because you guys have stood steadfast and unmovable when the narrative of Camden was negative, we were able to change the narrative, and Camden is rising because of you. So we thank you for trusting in our mayor, trusting in our council, and trusting in yourself that Camden ain't no stopping us now.
We on the move. Oh, I got it. Also, we have our council president, Angel Fuentes, who I've seen and grown through the years. His hand in friendship, he's instrumental in the Hispanic and African American community, forming an alliance and an allegiance that has been the foundation of the Democratic movement in South Jersey. Without our relationship, the Democratic Party would not be what it is now, and he's a main reason, and we make a commitment to not fall into tribalism and to stay family. And he is one of the founders of the commitment we have made way back when, then, and I love him. Let's give it up for our council president.
Thank you for the words. Let me just, to the Mayor of Baraka of Newark. Last night, I called a couple of my cousins, 3 of them in Newark, and I said to them, so who did you vote for, when it comes to the mayor of Newark? And all 3 said they voted for you. So, and then I told them, well, guess what? He's going to be with us in Camden City. And then they replied, please let him know that we do need to talk. So, I believe it's the deputy mayor, Jacqueline. Hi, how are you? Nice seeing you. Actually, that was one of my questions to the mayor earlier today. I said, how are you as a leader? And I think it's good for all of us to reflect. Not just as a public servant, but as a leader, how do you keep the diversity, to trust you? And as I was saying that in Camden City, we have the Puerto Rican parade. And of course, Mayor Carstarphen, we're really blessed to have a mayor of diversity, a mayor that really cares about our people. But when I look at Newark, not just the Puerto Rican parade, but you have, from Peru, from Nicaragua, from all these Hispanics, and of course, the African community as well. And instead of having infighting, how do you keep that level of trust, right? And you mentioned it, and how you surround yourself. And you mentioned the deputy mayor, so just to let you know. I've been involved in politics since 1993 when I ran with Arnold Webster. And of course, 3 terms as a state assemblyman. The difference between local and state or even federal is that the local government are in touch with the real people. When it comes to the African American and Hispanic community, they are really in touch. They can talk to you in a way that you will not hear from a governor or state legislator or even the federal level. Mayor Rick Carstarphen just had 3 town meetings, and he's having his 4th this Wednesday at the Croc Community Center in Cramer Hill. So I think that what we see, that something that we haven't seen many, many decades, but thanks to our mayors and how they open themselves to diversity and keeps the city sort of lighten up, to really have a dialogue, to talk to one another, to understand your concerns, what are your complaints, not just city council, I could tell you, we have a great relationship with our mayor. He was elected based on his platform. We should be supporting his platform and not interfere his platform or to decide that we're going to run against him. Same thing with the mayor of Newark. He ran on a platform, to bring his people together and to move forward, experience a renaissance in the city of Newark and as well in the city of Camden. So I feel blessed you know. And I see Miss Novella Henson, everyone, we echo what her husband did for all of us. And I can tell you that, you know, I have been sort of rebaptized as a Democrat, as a believer, what we can do to improve the quality of life for every person, even those who didn't support us, to support them, you know, because this is our city. We love our city. And so if anything, when we take a step back and to reflect on their leadership as mayors, the CEOs of their cities, respected cities, you know, it makes us look good and proud, and we should be supporting them 110% all the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Last but certainly not least, our host and the advisory school board president, my friend, my beloved brother, Minister Wasim Muhammad.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pastor Chad Henson. It is always indeed, and as you stated, it sounded like it's going to be the theme of this conversation about family. You're not just my brother, you like family. You know, when you're in the ministry, you know, sometimes in the ministry, you can, and the ministers in the room know and understand that you can get way over in somewhere, but you always need somebody to balance you out, and to give you that balance in life so you can view and we can stay on the ground and begin to feed the people. So this brother is like a balance to me, although he's a Christian and I am a Muslim. There is but one God. And we thank that God for coming and raising among us the greatest man that I know, that I've learned so much from. That is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, on whom I minister in his name. And I'm honored to be here. But let me first say to the mayors, I'll start with Mayor Baraka, and actually I can tie both of the mayors into this. Mayor Vic Carstarphen, as we talk about legacies, you know, Mayor Baraka's father, for those who don't know, and this is the education part of me coming out of my background. Shout out to my vice president of the school board, Brother Namdi Nelson, right over there, and the other school board members who are here. Please stand and take a bow while you're in this home, please. Fabio Livio Martinez, Cameron Hudson, and Karen Marix, thank you all for being here and supporting, as always, as we always have the support from those who are here and those who are not here. But as we talk about, you know, legacies and, you know, the work that we have to do, for those who don't know, Mayor Baraka's father, Amiri Baraka, was one of the greatest poets. And, you know, since the days and lights of like Langston Hughes and so many great ones, and he's standing on the shoulders of that one. And you know about Mayor Carstarphen, his father, whom he's the junior of, the great songwriter that wrote so many great songs, that put so many messages in the ears of so many people. Because the ministry today has to come outside of these four walls. And when we talk about ministry and coaching and leading the cities as mayors, and we talk about being mentors, all of this is ministries. So you all are in the ministry. So we welcome you to Muhammad's Temple. I welcome you here. You are my brother. I'm so very proud to work along beside Mayor Carstarphen and the work that he's doing in Camden. Many of us knew that leadership quality with him. You know, we knew it very early because he came over as a young prodigy doing a great work. And Camden is about to see the intellectual prowess of our brother that we're going to see for the next 3 years. And it's just honored to be here. And also, Brother Chad, you know, I'm used to ministering here, so you might have to tell me to be so I'm feeling the spirit, but I also want to honor our sister here for being here. Thank you, Mayor Woodlow of Lawnside, for being here, and Commissioner Al Dyer, and my brother, who, you know, who's here today, you know, Arthur O.G. Barkley. I don't know whether to call him the name that we know him by. And, of course, Mama Henson there, you know, who's meant so much to all of us. The sheriff, Mr. Wilson, let's give him a well-deserved round of applause, who I am very honored to sit as the advisory board president, you know, and I say that it was always have been bittersweet because I was the vice president to his late great wife, Miss Martha Wilson, who the Martha Wilson Academy you're going to hear so much about in a few short days, and I'm just honored by your presence. And of course, our second ward councilman here, and my brother and my friend, Councilman Chris Collins, right there as well, here in the second ward. And as I comb the room, I see another Parkside legend over there, but he's sitting there in the back, our Assemblyman Bill Spearman. Let's please give him a well-deserved round of applause right there. My brother Chad, I give away to you because mi casa is su casa. Am I saying that right? Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. Our first question for Mayor Baraka. We just want to know clearly, just first question, what in your opinion makes a city safe?
Well, any city is safe because of strong families, right? Strong families, strong institutions in those cities. You know, the interesting thing is when you come to our community, when we go to community meetings, people ask you, where's the police? Because we associate safety with police. When you go to other people's communities, if you see police on the block, they think something's wrong. They're like, wait, what are the police doing here, right? So, you know, we equate safety with police, but other people's communities, they equate safety with strong institutions and strong families. Opportunities to have access to jobs, opportunity to have access to good education, opportunities to have access to ownership and wealth. And when you have those things, it kind of protects you, you know, and you bring police in when things go against what's normal. The problem in our community is the normal is the police. Because we spend so much time and effort and money in making sure that we keep the community safe because we know we don't have a lot. And we don't have a lot, people try to take from one another. And that's basically, you know, what happens in these cities. And so we have to treat crime and violence as public health. And so not only it's not enough just to have police, but you have to put public back in public safety. You have to create these alternative kind of organizations and opportunities and strategies that help lift the community up, right? That help interject before violence and crime begins, that help reduce people's inclination towards crime, towards violence, provide opportunities for education, provide opportunities to pull kids out of situations that you know are going to go wrong, right? So in Newark, we have Office of Violence Prevention, we have Brick City Peace Collective, we have all of these things that we pay for alongside of the police department to make sure that the police's job is focused on making sure they deal with the worst of the worst and trying to reduce the violence and crime in the city. And they have a whole other sector of the community to make sure that we take care of the other issues that may happen in our city. And you try to create a safe community that way. And in essence, you build in a raft. And that's just what I got finished talking about earlier, you know, because we're making it safe with the resources that we have. And so if we have more, if we had opportunity to invest in our community the way it needs to be invested in, if we had an opportunity to do workforce development and put people to work, we had an opportunity to create home ownership, right, and give people increased wages and all the things that we need, then we spend less time talking about public safety and more time talking about the development of families and children and communities. But we need investment, and the cities don't have that kind of money. So we need state and federal investment. And so we have to start asking for what's owed to us, because we're not begging anybody for anything. We ask them for what's owed to us, because there's a lot that's owed to us that we have not received, and we need to start getting it.
Thank you. This question is from Mayor Victor Carstarphen. How has the community involvement benefited the police force in making it safe?
Trust, gaining trust and confidence. You know, you talk about community. One of the biggest things that I've learned is community wants to feel ownership, you know, and community, you know, and leadership, you have to be able to care, you got to have a commitment, and you got to be consistent. And if you're not showing those things, you won't gain any confidence in what's going on in your community. And, you know, with the community police and getting out there, you know, and meeting our people where they're at on a different level of understanding that they're here to help, and that builds that trust and that confidence. So what we've done, I mean, you know, in our city, we had a 50-year low in crime. And a lot of that is built on a whole lot of things, our educational piece, you know, building safe pathways for our students in schools. Everything starts with a foundation, you know, and that foundation, again, starts at home, getting in the community. And as Mayor Baraka stated, you know, building, you know, that confidence to have ownership, you know, the workforce development. I call it being in the belly. You know, you got to be in the belly of the community. You know, we talk about waterfronts. Everybody got a waterfront. You got a waterfront, right? And we talk about, you know, the infrastructure. You're not making your belly feel comfortable. And you're not building there. You're not giving confidence. Our head is going to be knocked off as a city. And continuing that development, continuing the engagement of meeting our people where they're at and letting them know that, you know, you have ownership of what's going on. And we got to continue to invest in that. This is a room, man, I always call it people helping people room. You know, this is a people helping people room. We can talk about all the infrastructures and monies and this, that, and the fourth, but at the end of the day, we got to invest in us.
Yeah, come on.
We got to invest hard in us, and that comes with, you know, empowerment. That comes with, you know, letting our folks know that we're going to provide and we're going to bring forth the resources that we have to bring so it strengthens us. You know, there's a whole team in NBA called, they say strength in numbers, right? And we got to have strength in numbers, and we're building that, because when we have strength in numbers, believe me, we win. We win in our community. So, you know, when you talk about the community policing and, you know, that's engagement that, you know, it has to build trust for so many years. The conditioning has been not good. That conditioning has not been good. You know, we just went through a pandemic where we were talking about things that we've never had to deal with. Talking about we making people have to take a vaccination shot where a community has been conditioned to not understand what that looks like. You know, like Mayor Baraka said, it opened up a whole nother thinking. You know, that should have been a thinking before all that for our community. So, you know, just working together, you know, and building from there and giving confidence and empowering. It starts with our youth. It starts with, you know, we can talking about our youth and providing safe atmospheres for our youth, but we talking in my community about parenting. You know, when I grew up, parenting was the basic foundations that allowed us to grow. And we got to work on that. You know, it's a new era. We get caught and lost in some sites about, you know, what we provide for our kids and our youth, and we sometimes have to have this conversation, the resources that we can provide for our parents. And a lot of that comes from opportunities. You know, we just don't put things on parents and adults to not understand what they're going through because opportunities are not there. Like Mayor Baraka said, we got to invest and provide resources. You know, we've been living on what we've been given, and that may not be enough, which allows our parents to may not have the mindset to where they need to be like it was 30, 40 years ago. So everything starts where it starts. You know, you can talk about the middle, where we're at now, but the foundation has got to be strong. It's up to us and strength in numbers to keep building that foundation so we can stand tall. We can have the public safety like Mayor Baraka, what he said makes sense. You know, we should be able to, you know, mind ourselves in our own communities. But, you know, 30, 40, when I grew up, that's what we did, right, Miss Henson? Right, Sheriff? We walked down the street and Miss Susie, Miss Sarah's on the porch and making sure little Vic get home. You know, everybody had accountability. How we get back to that? Just being accountable for ourselves. But it starts, the mayor said, we owe more and we got to get more because by having more, it makes us robust as a community. So I don't know if I answered your question, but when you get room, when you start talking, man, and you get good dialogue from leaders like Mayor Baraka and all the leaders here, boy, you're thoughtful about, you know, what's really what. So, Brother Chad.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Come on, let's give it up for our mayor. That's true. I'm going to say a name y'all remember. Lenny Hall. Come on, talk to me. Lenny Hall. Go home before they come out here and arrest everybody. Okay, sir. That's right. Councilwoman Naomi, just how do we keep the Hispanic community engaged in the community during this policing process?
During policing?
Yes, for the police. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. So number one, as both mayors mentioned, it's all about trust, right? Building trust and ensuring that that relationship is sustainable when it comes to not only having the community have that trust with the police force, but feeling that their concerns not only will be heard, but also met, right? There's not always a perfect yes in questioning, right? There's not always a yes, but there is, finding a yes is what I believe is important. So I'll just give a quick example of what I mean by that. There may be a situation where the police might get a call, right? And there is a language barrier. There's so many different issues in our homes, right? It's not always so easy to, oh, it's a disturbance. Maybe there's some mental health concerns. And connecting the resource, that's your yes. In that moment, you might think, okay, just send them to jail and that'll resolve this issue. It's not always that easy. So that's what I mean, finding the yes, that having that strong relationship with the community, understanding the issues and providing different avenues, because not every situation is the same. So in that instance, right, ensuring that that household is provided different resources that perhaps may help their situation. So whether that be mental health resources, connections to Board of Social Services, food pantry, just so many different issues that lead to that call. So that's what I mean by finding a yes. So specifically with the Hispanic community is continuing to build that trust and ensuring that the community stays involved. I think one of the great things about our mayor, and I can say the same for you, Mayor Baraka, because Newark is very diverse as well, is that our mayors really understand, and again, I'm always going to talk about unity is power, right? But it's the truth. And ensuring that the Hispanic community is always included, and I think our mayors do a great job at that, and providing the resources, providing an inclusive space. So all of that comes down to building, sustaining trust and inclusivity, and not treating every situation the same, understanding that our diversity is very deep. There's a lot of depth in it. So that's what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear heart. I'm going to jump to Sheila. I want you to jump on this police question as well, of policing, because then we're going to shift to a pathway of education and jobs, and we'll get the commissioner in on that one.
Thank you, Pastor. I had the honor through the office of our mayor of being the liaison between Camden County Metro Police Department and the city of Camden. And so it's an honor because I get to work closely with the men and women of Camden County Metro Police Department and being an employee. So we get to have those hard conversations. Well, I get to have those hard conversations because I'm all about accountability. Because a lot of our officers don't look or represent the people in our neighborhood. So oftentimes, we talk with our hands. So how do you have that conversation with a young officer who's in your neighborhood and he think that the person might be irate because they talking with their hands? That's how we talk. So there's the educational piece. And to work closely with these men and women and bringing that dialogue to them. And our de-escalation program, because every jail is not meant for everyone. It's just about a conversation because we're dealing with mental health. We're dealing with language barriers. And it all starts with communication, real hard communication about what our neighborhoods look like. Then we have our community outreach. I have to give credit to our men and women in Camden County Metro Police Department because These guys go out there, they mowing lawns, they with our seniors, they know who's who in the neighborhood. Case in point, I was at work one day, and it was some residents, some people sitting on my step. Officer rode by. He knew I lived there. He knew they didn't live there. So he went up and said, hey, you know, do you live here? And they said, oh, I know the lady that lives right there. And they said, oh, you know the councilwoman? So he was able to call me. So that's forming relationships, knowing who's in your neighborhood. And so, and it's an honor to have women on our Metro Police Department that went from police officers to sergeants to lieutenants to deputy chiefs. These are women of color that are now taking charge in our community because we know public safety is real. We can build all the bricks and mortars that we want, but if people don't feel safe and have safe corridors, our agenda and our narrative is for naught. So we were able to reduce crime. We were able to take a lot of guns off the street. And that's because we're able now to form relationships with our residents. We're able now to listen and not to judge. We're enabled now to have people like myself that say, hey, I live in this neighborhood. He might not have a mental illness issue. He's just upset. That's where de-escalation comes in at, having that conversation. So mayor and mayors and residents and constituents, you know, our Camden County Metro Police Department is heading in the right direction. Our streets are a lot more safer. Crimes are down. And I'm happy. I'm happy to see the kids outside playing. I'm happy to see our seasoned people, as our mayor would say, walking to the store to get groceries. Do we have a lot of challenges still ahead of us? Yes, every community has those. But we're talking about it. More importantly, we're doing something about it. No is not the final answer. No will never be the final answer when it comes to the public safety of our children, of our families. So.
Thank you so much. So, Commissioner Young, can you lean in on the importance that jobs play in not only reducing crime, but in developing the urban context?
Absolutely. So you know, Mayor, you had it right on the head, right? When we talk about, when I look at workforce development in our communities, I look at it as prevention, right? Give them another option. Give them something to do. I look at it as security. You get an 18-year-old kid fresh out of high school, right? That's going to come work for the Carpenters Union, making roughly start off $17, $18 an hour. He's going to go through a 4-year apprenticeship, no college debt at the end. At the end, he'll be able to have an opportunity to make 6 figures for building stuff. But not only that, think about the health insurance benefit that that individual takes off of their family, that burden. It's huge, one of our biggest burdens that we have as a community. So one thing that we really started to do is that we started to look at the population on out of school, right? And see if we can bring those folks in, and we do. But then we really started to say, hey, you know what? If I had an 18-year-old kid that I can bring in young and fresh, I got him for 30 years, right? That's a 30-year person that I put in this community that are stable, that now they stay. So when you talk about rebuilding your communities, right, I can't tell you how many times you go out in the suburbs and all the other folks around, I built that, and I built this, and I built that, you know? Hey, we need a little bit of pride of ourselves in our own community as well, right? I like to put my son in the car and drive him around the community and let him see what the work Dad did and what I built, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's what we need to do. And then we start feeding our own, and we start doing our own. So now we're starting to, as the Carpenters Union, really implement ourselves into our schools. and really start to touch that young population and really start to have them inject themselves and become very positive members of society. And that's how you get security into the neighborhoods. And you know, I appreciate the accolades of being the quiet assassin. It's because it's not about me. It's about the work, right? So I don't need to be on Facebook. I don't need to be in front of cameras. I don't need to be telling people. You know what I like to see when I go back into the community and I see that young man coming up to me and he says, hey, man, thanks for changing my life. Wow. That's what it's all about for me. And that's been my life work, and I believe that's the thing that we need to change, right? Because a lot of things, listen, money in our pocket and financial stability changes. Makes a huge, huge difference, right?
Mercy.
It makes us very sustainable, and I'm very, very proud to be on the forefront of that, and to continue to, not only for the Carpenters Union, for the electricians, the plumbers, and everybody else, to be able to have that same mindset. And that's what it is. It's a mindset change. We can make all the policies we want, and we can say, hey, listen, we're coming into the community, and you got to hire. If they don't believe that they have to hire, they won't. So it's part of my responsibility and my job is to change mindsets, and that's kind of where we are with it, to making sure that our folks have an opportunity to eat every day.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Wonderful. Council President, you were involved in a lot of the transformation with the EDS and the maids' quarters, Cooper Hospital, Rutgers. Just talk a little bit about that transformation and how do we use that momentum to navigate into the neighborhood and take advantage of the monies that's coming in for the next years for our residents.
You know, I need to bring up Whit Wilson. He and I were state assemblymen back in 2010, along with Donald Norcross, who was our senator back then. I can tell you that whoever thought, right, Whip, that we would have or create legislations that would have a huge impact for the city of Camden. Whoever thought, 2, 3 with Donald, you know, with the Urban Hope Act, the Renaissance schools, with the Metro Police, that's what's going back to us working closely with the county and the governor, who happened to be a Republican governor with the Democrats, and who supported, you know, a lot of the changes, supported you know, the all the universities working closely with the hospitals, and I think that made a huge impact in the city of Camden. You know, throughout the state of New Jersey, we could say we were the first, and you know, going back to 2010, we're now in 2022, and we see some of the highlights that's taking place. I mean, you mentioned about the Metro Police, and we are very grateful to the lieutenant who's here. But most so, as the mayor stated, and even Councilwoman Vice President, how crime has dropped. You know, I remember back in 1995, I was watching, I think it was CNN. They talked about this Sergeant Crawford from Oakland, California, and how he was able to go block by block to combat the drugs, the crime in Oakland. And I said to myself, you know, we need him here in Kansas City. Back then, I had a good relationship with Chief Pugh. He passed away, but Chief Pugh believed in me when I was a councilman. And somehow I was able to get $5,000 from a grant in which I spoke to Sergeant Crawford, would you come and talk about the success, you know, how you know, in a very complex city, just like Camden, that we can all work together and make it an impact. And I would go neighborhood by neighborhood. I had a 19-inch color TV with, you know, with a tape, RCA, and I would go to the churches and let people see and believe. Back then, we had drugs in every corner in the city of Camden. I mean, I was threatened a couple of times. I see the president is also on a school board, Karen Merrick, who lives in Northgate 1. And I love her because she not afraid to really understand what's going on in that high rise. And so I went to Northgate 1 too, back in '95. And so back then I decided, I talked to Webster, the mayor, and created a task force, anti-crime task force. And from there, long story short, we came up with the Camden Neighborhood Renaissance. For 10 years, we were going to different neighborhoods and trying to change the lives of the residents. We had the support of the mayor, the court enforcement, support of the chief, the prosecutor, the state troopers, and even the U.S. attorney. You know, we started with a budget of $0 to $500,000, the Camden Neighborhood Renaissance. So all I say is that, looking back and now, Pastor, is that, and thanks to the leadership of, both mayors, particularly Mayor Carstarphen in the city of Camden, and the blessings of the Metro Police, the young people are believing that you are their friends, what you do, in the community. And so that speaks volume. And you can relay that to the chief. I mean, he knows it. But all I'm saying is that our young people back then didn't have that trust. It was just always incarceration forever. And you will see blacks and Hispanics going straight to jail. So I think we've done, from back then to now, we sort of hit a home run. And still some challenges, but we did hit a home run, so it was good.
Thank you so very much. Minister, you've been a student athlete. You're a president of the advisory board. Can you just explain for us one of the importance of education and the connection between education and athletics?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Pastor. And I know I'm going to be short because I know we're running a little bit behind time in respect to our mayor. But that relationship between athletics and academics is very important, my brother. As you can see, what we have with our leadership here in the city of Camden, Mayor Vic Carstarphen as being a star basketball athlete as well, and your brother here, excelling on and off the court. We even have, Arthur O.G. Barkley over there, and Denny Brown in the crowd, and Coach Jackson, Guy Rozier, and Commissioner, who all benefited off of being student, and Councilman Collins as well, being student athletes, and Nnamdi Nelson as well. And that allowing us to have opportunities that, you talk about debt forgiveness and all of these things. And that's a privilege, to be able to be a scholar athlete. And Mayor Baraka, too, is a basketball coach. I got to know his history. These things are very relevant because it's like the first time that you may have a group of young men, a group of young women together, and that person is a minister. That you can call him a coach, you can call him a Christian, you can call him a Muslim, you can call him a Jew, you can call him whatever you want to call him. There's but one God, and you can call, exactly. You can call, thank you. And so, we can call them anything, but they are mentoring to our young people and developing outcomes in young people that everything is like a boomerang effect, a circular effect, how atoms rotate in circles, how everything, the planets move around the sun, everything has a revolving door around it, and it comes back full circle because there's a lot of people in the communities that help us as student athletes succeed in the community. Even during those times, brothers that didn't, didn't have, I would say, the right employment. But however, they took up for guys like us and made sure that we had opportunities. And now it's coming full circle. Now that we went on and student athletes played on television, did great, and won a couple championships, and did amazing things like the great DeJuan Wagner doing right now as he did. And now he's here with his son and giving back to the community. And I know they want to overlook that. But we're going to get back. We're going to talk about that a little later. But nevertheless, the give back to the community and what you see those of us who have opportunities in athletics. So athletics and arts and all of those things are very important when it comes to educational outcomes, because it allow us to focus. And now that we can give back after they allowed us to shine and do what we have to do, there's plenty of talent in this room of people who, as I spoke about, had those averse lifestyles, but them were some talented people. So now it's up to us. As we went on, they supported us and rooted for us and said, go, 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 rah, rah, rah. Now it's up to us to come back and help to hone the talent that they have in them that they may have never materialized because they were busy doing things. Now we have to give back to that and have those opportunities. As you see, Camden, educational opportunities with the high school, $130 million, investment into Camden High School. The investment we're ready to do in Eastside High School. And all of those things are relevant because it allows the athletics to focus on our community, to come back and do some amazing things. You talk about debt forgiveness. We don't have to ask a legislator to do that. That talent that we did is the debt forgiveness, and now it's time for us to give back to our community. And in closing of that, the human body, if you get a scar, tissue, a cut, naturally the cut has a natural healing power that comes from nature. It starts healing its own self. As we talked about, and Mayor Carstarphen is something he said that made me think about this, there's a lot of investment we put into these buildings and education, the Renaissance schools, the charter schools, the traditional public schools that we get ready to put a lot of energy into to make sure that we're able to have a competent, a balanced school choice. But however, when you see a cut naturally coming back together, all of the bones of the community, of the great buildings that we see in Camden coming up, being erected for educational opportunities, now it's time for us to have that conversation that many of us don't want to have and don't like to have, is what Mayor Carstarphen was talking about. Parenting is evolving, is the people. We got to have those conversations with people. Now, that's going to be in those buildings, because you can build new buildings, but if you have the same old wineskin and that, what we say, Pastor? We can't put new old wine in old wineskin. Now we have to go to work on the people in the community. And as we see Camden, some of us don't like to talk about, the cry is now, look, these people don't live in Camden, they're here, and, they're in the streets, and, with the epidemic that we have in our communities. But as I always say, and I have to say the tough questions and tough answers and the tough conversations as brother minister, the title I hold so dearly, that if they didn't have the substance to come into Camden for, that many of us who look like us is providing for them, there would be a desert. So all of it is relevant: public safety, the people, education, everything, leadership, all of that is relevant, because we got to begin to have that conversation. Thank you.
Come on, let's start a conversation. We're running short on time, but so we like to do now is from our Mayor Victor Carstarphen and our closing remarks from our special guest, Mayor.
Again, this was great to have this dialogue, this communications from some of our leaders in our community. I like to call these moments wake up everybody moments. If you know those wake up everybody moments, you know my pop from Centerville wrote a song called Wake Up Everybody. And the world ain't getting no better if we let it be. The world ain't getting no better because we got to change this world. It's just you and me. But this is the scope of what we're here for, what Mayor Baraka talk about. Those words are prophetic still today, which is sad. that those words are still prophetic. That song was written in 1972. And we start talking about we still the world, we got to change this world, just us. We got to change it. And we've thought we've come so far, but we got so much more to go. And these collaborations, this conversation, you know, this great leader coming down here today and fellowshipping, as I call it. You know, when we in the community, we fellowshipping. You know, I talk about that all the time. Whether it's something you don't want to hear, whether it's something you do want to hear, we try to get solutions out of that. We find solutions. In this community, I can't thank y'all enough for how we've been pushing. You know, we out, how we've been pushing. And we got to keep pushing. That's why we're here today. You know, it's a wake up everybody moment. Let's, you know, sometimes we think we there. Sometimes we think we doing things, and, you know, I call it the disease of me. Success, little bit success, you think you're there.
That's right.
You got to understand, you know, you can't get caught up in that. You can't lose sight of where we got to go and how much we got to go and what we got to do to fight for where we got to be at. So, again, thank you all. A lot of good brothers here, a lot of good sisters here today. I see my cousins, I see family, I see small business owners, I see nonprofit leaders, organizational leaders, I see community leaders in here. I see the public works in here strong. Brothers out there are giving it every day, keeping our community safe and clean. This means a lot. You know, as the mayor of the city, I'm humbled. You know, I always talk about this ain't a me thing. Y'all already know. This is a we thing. And only we can do it. I can't do this. Mayor Baraka can't do it on his own. We got to do it. So, again, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you, brother. Leave us some words. Leave us with that.
Absolutely, thank you. I'm going to piggyback off you, brother. You should wake up everybody. 1972 was actually the same year there was the National Black Political Convention in Gary, Indiana, when that song came out, where elected leaders from and non-elected leaders from all over the country came to Gary, Indiana to talk about issues that were affecting our community. We were able to send Ken Gibson there, who was the mayor, just became the mayor of the city of Newark, because the year before that, we had a Black and Puerto Rican convention. So the Black community and the Latino community got together in 1969 and pledged unity and got the first African-American mayor that the city has ever had in its existence in 1970 because of Ken Gibson, right? So because of that. So all of that history is laid it out for us. We already know what needs to happen. We just actually have to do it. We stray away from that because there are a lot of forces in the middle of it who trying to make us forget it and you know, get us too busy to learn about it or teach it to other people, or we get so caught up in what you said, we get so involved in it being about me or being about you personally. So you make your personal issue everybody's issue. Right, and because your personal issue, I might have a personal issue with Mayor Carstarphen, but me and him, I'm just having a problem with you, brother. But I'm making that a community issue, a public issue, right? I'm gonna make it a community and public issue because I want something for me. And when you get to the meat of it, it's about you. It's not about everybody, right? A lot of us want these positions, we just don't want the job. You know what I mean? You know, the job is hard, right? It's difficult because we trying to make something from nothing. Amen. You know, we grew up in families that put water in the orange juice to make Kool-Aid. You had to stretch it. You know, you had to stretch it. You know, that juice get low, you got to put some water in there, some sugar, so we can have a couple more days added to it. And then they think, oh, them people are geniuses. No. The necessity is the mother of invention. It's not the fact that we geniuses, we got to stay alive. Right? And because you won't give us nothing, we got to use what we got. That's why we keep having these conversations about what's making our community safe. We always talking about police because they won't give us anything else. right? They won't give us anything else. When we talk about affordable housing, we always have conversations about affordable housing because we need it, but when we think about affordable housing, they think about us. But they never, when we talk about affordable housing, nobody ever says, why can't we make enough money so we don't have to live in this type of thing? Why can't we afford all of it? So at the end of the day, how are we going to make some more money? Right? How are we going to make some more money? How are we going to, I don't want to just rent. 75% of the people in the city of Newark rent. Right? We're trying to make more homeowners, create more wealth. The wealth gap in the state of New Jersey is one of the largest in the country. How do we create more home ownership? So you got to change the mentality of the people that are out here that are used to what I said in the beginning, used to surviving. We made our bones off of surviving, man. Some of us are masters at surviving, and we go around and teach other people how to survive. And that's good because we want you to stay alive. So we teaching everybody how to survive. This is what you need to do to survive. Our kids are dying in the street. And so we happy if 30 of us died. When I became mayor, it was 115 people dead from homicide. We walk around, I get nervous sometimes because we walk around and say only 50 people got killed this year. Which is good from 115, but my Lord, you know what I'm saying? Nobody else's community is satisfied with that. Nobody is satisfied with that. We should be happy that we did that and mark it as a marker, but we can't stop there. And here's the thing, though. In order for us to go further, we need more. We made miracles happen from nothing. From nothing. We kept our kids alive off pig guts and tails and noses that we make jokes about. Yeah, but we need to go further. In order to go further, we need more. And people keep us satisfied by giving us a little bit. And we cool with the little bit because we brilliant and beautiful people, y'all. Because the little bit that we get, we could do a lot with it. We could do a lot with a little bit. We just want $15 an hour. It's better than 8. Just give us 15. Because we can do a lot with 15. But why can't we get 25? Right? Why can't we get 25? We cool with 15 because, we've been getting 8 all our life. So somebody say, I'm going to give you 15, we good with that. We walk out the room. And they know that, right? So they beat us and beat us and beat us about 15, and then you wind up getting 11, and you be like, we got something. We got something. We good, right? And then we continue to put these people in charge of us because we believe if we have a relationship with these people up here that they're going to treat us better, that this person is going to treat us better than that person. It's like having a good slave master versus one that's terrible. Because this people is going to treat us better. This person is going to treat us better than that person because we don't have the courage to be in charge ourselves. We got to be in charge ourselves. And guess what? We could be in charge if we did it together. All of us, we could be in charge, right? We could do it. All these beautiful and brilliant people up here. I come down here to meet Mayor Carstarphen and be with him, and people would say, oh, you can't talk to him, you can't do this. I can do what the heck I want to do. Right? You can't, oh, such and such got a problem. We want to talk to this person. No. That's not how we operate here. We got to establish relationships out of strength. That's what we need to do. We build a relationship, we have a relationship. That's it. This weakness that we have that tells people that we can only be friends on Monday and Tuesday and Thursday, and because you got a problem with it, I got to have a problem with it. No, that's not what I'm dealing with here. This is my brother, and you don't got nothing to do with it. You don't got nothing to do with it. So I can talk to him anytime I want to. That's it. And when we bring other people to the table, we have to remind them that they're at the table because the brother invited you to the table. Look, when I talk to people, they say, oh, thank you for calling me. Well, I'm only calling you because brother asked me to. And I'm not being disrespectful. I just need to establish the relationship. And that creates the unity that we need to have. You can't have this fake, weak, milquetoast unity that we have with each other. This hypocritical, snitch kind of unity. That we have, we get with each other and then, we go back and tell the other people what we talked about. You know, we get in a meeting and I'm talking to the brother and I'm having a phone. Well, me and him talked about such and such and such. No. Well, what did he say? Well, you wasn't at the meeting, so if you want to know what he said, then you should call him and ask him yourself. And if he don't tell you, then you ain't supposed to know. That's the kind of unity we got to have up and down the corridor. Up and down the corridor. And it start with you. Our kids fight each other because we fight each other. That's why I'm from Newark, you from Camden. We both poor. We ain't got nothing. I'm better than you. That's like being the tallest midget. That's what Jay-Z said, right? You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like we fighting for what? For what? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I told the kids at our 24 hours apiece, that's my op. Yo, op? How is this person your op? Y'all both got nothing. You most don't have anything. Your opposition is death. Your opposition is poverty. Your opposition is bad health. Your opposition is prison. Your opposition is poor education. That's what your opposition is, not your brother. How your brother gonna be your opposition? The person who made him your opposition is your real opposition. And you ain't never gonna see him. He ain't never gonna come to your block and offer you a fair one in the middle of the street. You don't even know his name or what he looked like. He just put you all against one another. Now you murdering each other on the street. Under a street sign, you don't even know who the name is on the street sign. The block you think is yours, and you don't own nothing on the block at all. Not a hook or a crook or a blade of grass. You don't own nothing on it. Not the store or the storefront or the stoop you sitting on, you don't own. That's all from us, though. When we start being together, Council President, when we together, then our kids will be together. When we eat together and talk together and speak together, when they see us together, then they'll be together, right? This whole we need black and brown unity, we ain't got no choice but to be unified. We ain't got, I'm gonna be quiet, but when people say they get upset, I start talking about racism and white supremacy. That's we fighting for democracy. The same people who mad at me won't raise your minimum wage. Same people who mad at me refusing to give you health care. The same people who mad at me won't put your kid in a decent school. The same people who mad at me trying to round people up, undocumented them, and run them out of here. Same people that mad at me, we don't got no business fighting each other. We ain't got no business fighting each other. We supposed to be together. We don't have no business fighting each other. I'm sitting here in Camden because I want to be here. I was invited here. I can go wherever I want to go. It makes me get up in the morning and feel like I'm a free man. That's it. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all for being down here. Anytime you want to come up top, you're welcome to come up top with us. God bless y'all.
My man. Brother.
Come on, let's give it up for this wonderful panel. Before we leave out, we're going to have our closing prayer from our brother.
Please, we ask you not to leave yet because, you know, as they say, a family that prays together stays together. So we want to close out as we open, as I'm going to bring the young brothers up again to close us out in prayer. Please, thank you for being patient.
Everyone, please send the Muslim closing prayer. And never will Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. All praise due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds, the beneficent, the most merciful. Blessed is this day, just which now live. You alone do we serve, you alone do we seek for thy aid. O Allah, guide us along the straight path. Provide us those upon him, that we show thy favors. Out of those upon him, that we rapidly go down. Never for those to go astray, after they have heard thy teachings. Say Allah is one God. Allah is who is nothing is independent, but upon whom we are to depend. Neither begets, nor is he begotten, and none is like him. And the very one is nothing deserved to be served besides Allah, and the further very one is the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, is his last, his greatest messenger. Ameen.
Thank you all. Thank you.